All right. Are we live?
No, we are. But it's always that uncomfortable few seconds that they tell you you're supposed to wait because it's StreamYard. So you're supposed to wait until like it hits like 4 or 5 seconds. And it's like, it's such an interesting 4 or 5 seconds because you're staring at it going, should I talk? Should I say something? Or will it be cut off? So hello. Hi, Julia.
Hi, Brendon. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
Good. I'm fabulous as well.
I like it. I like it. So number 5. Is it number 5? Number 4?
Yeah, number 5.
Number 5. Parenting beyond COVID.
Yeah, these have been so amazing.
Cool. So where do you want to start?
Well, it's like, when Megan asked me to do this, I was like, oh, I'm considered a parent. I didn't know I was. And then I kind of started to look at it and I was like, oh, maybe that is part of the brilliance of parenting is, not having to, shut that up, not having to like define yourself as a parent and not constantly thinking about yourself as a parent and not constantly needing to be the right parent and not constantly needing to, be the perfect parent. And so I think that, I have and we can talk about my parenting situation, but it's like I have a very, very different family reality than most people, and it's something that didn't just happen to me. I created it, and I created it every day, and something that's really fun for me and really works for me. So yeah, we can talk about
that. I love that part about like the way we define ourselves as parent. Like I remember when Nash was like I first broke up with his mother when he was 1. And so I have this 1-year-old, just the sweetest little kid. I have this 1-year-old kid. And it's like, so I was having him week on, week off. And so he'd be with me for a week. And I was like, okay, I'm a parent. I knew exactly what to do. I knew exactly how to take care of him. And then he'd leave for the next week to go and stay with his mom. And I was just a mess. I was like, okay, what's my job now? My definition of myself was I was a parent, and that was it. So let's do this. So everywhere you've defined yourself as a parent, were you destroyed and created?
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. And I was really grateful to ask you on this too, because I remember when we were having the conversation and you were like, why is he asking me to come on this?
Yes.
I was like, because you're you. Hello.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah, I'm like, I thought I was the kid in the parent-kid relationship. Oh, wait, no, a parent. Okay, I am a parent. So, yeah. But it's like, so a little bit of the backstory of like how my creation of parenting has gone is like, I when I was, I guess 6 years ago, so I'm 28 now, so I was, I guess, 20, that makes me 22. I met Anthony, who is a really super cool guy. He's an Access consciousness facilitator also, and I met him through Access, and his wife had passed away 3 years prior to that, so 9 years ago. And it left him a single dad and a father of 3 little kids. I mean, 10 years old, 8 years old, and 2 years old. And so he was this single dad, and everything was, I mean, he really became, he is a mom and a dad. I mean, he did it all, and he plays that closeness and that mom role, like the traditional or whatever, like so well. And so for me, it's like I fell in love with this guy who was like, a few years older than me, and he had these 3 kids, and I was like, there's no way I could take on that responsibility. That's not even possible. Like, how, I mean, it was just like just not even in my world. But I kept spending time with him and hanging out with him. And then I saw his kids, and I was like, I met his kids, and I was like, uh-oh. I really, really, really want to be a part of this. And
Uh-oh, I fell in love with the kids too.
yeah, I fell in love with the kids too.
Uh-huh.
So it you know, it was a really different thing for me to be like a young woman, you know, starting, you know, becoming a stepmom of these three kids who at the time were 15 years old. Like when I actually got married, we're 15 years old, 12 years old, and 7 years old. So you know, I really had to, it was sort of like jumping into the middle of the ocean, like somebody dropped you out of a helicopter and you just flailed down from the helicopter and fell into the middle of the ocean. And you're like, okay, I have to learn to swim now. And
That
so,
that right there is parenting. I have to learn to swim now. That's
totally.
really, it's like if we parented from that place and looked at it and went, yeah, I just got thrown in the ocean. How do I swim? But we all like what you just did. It's like you knew that you could do it. You didn't know how you were going to do it, but you knew you could do it. So
Yep.
it's like for us in times like now with parenting beyond COVID, it's like because we know we've been thrown in the ocean. We know how to swim, but where do we want to swim? Like, how do we want to create it is the thing. And it's like, and I've seen you with Aria, and it is just, it's beautiful to watch you guys together because you are two princesses stuck in princess heaven. It's wonderful.
It's true.
but that thing of like, because I mean, for me, I know that when Nash was born, it was like I was reading all the books and doing all that, but I knew, same with what you're saying, I knew how to swim. I knew that if you dropped me into it, I could do it. So I want to do something else. So everywhere that anyone has decided that they don't know what they know and won't handle everything they know how to handle it the way they know how to handle it, we destroy and uncreate it.
Yep.
We're right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boards, and beyonds.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny too. It's like the other energy I want to look at with you is this thing of the way that we're taught how to parent, like the way that we learn it from our parents and the way that we try and get that energy rather than look at it and go, okay, so who am I dealing with and how do we get to it? And I was talking with this journalist this morning, and we did not get along very well.
You mean you're not normal? And
I'm not normal at all, but he did not like me. And it was like, and he was trying to guide me into what he wanted me to say. And I just wouldn't do it. I was having one of those mornings where I couldn't figure out how to be normal. And he said, one of the things he said, I'm looking out the window right now at my 2-year-old and my 3-year-old daughters. What's something practical that I can teach them? And I went, teach them about joy. And he couldn't hear it. And I was like, what am I speaking to with this? Like, if we can't get to that place where we're looking at bringing our kids up so they can be happy, what are we doing?
Right.
And that's the energy I want to get across in this one is what are we doing? If we're not bringing our kids up to be happy and bringing our kids up, teaching them that happiness is the most important thing in life, we can teach them about taxes and shit like that later. Guys, we can do that later. As kids, we need to teach them that happiness is the gift of life. It's the gift of us being on this planet. And with me doing these parenting things, it's like, because even this morning, I was like, I just want to quit on it. And I was like, okay, what am I doing it for? What am I doing this for? Is to empower us. If happiness was it, if happiness was a choice that we could make and then every single thing else fell into place based on our willingness to choose happiness, would we choose it? And then we can talk from a different place of, okay, give me some pragmatic tools about how I teach my kid happiness. That's a totally different conversation. And so let's see if we can go there.
I love it. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's so funny because there's a something in Access called the rightness clearing loops.
Uh-huh.
And it's, and you know it obviously very well, Brendon. But it's some loops that help you, that you can listen to on your cell phone, and they help you stop needing to be right all the time, incessantly right.
Well,
And
isn't it interesting though that we look at like how many people look at happiness as it's like a wrongness. It's not enough. Like joy is not enough. And a lot of this conversation right now might have a lot of people pissed off with me with talking about this, and I get it, but I totally get it from that place of, it's like, and I've been there and I've done all of that stuff I've done it all with parenting. I've had so many things come up for me where I was like, yeah, but you're sitting here right now talking to me on a Facebook Live about joy. Yep, I am. And I can, and I will. And that's the place that I'm going to talk from, because it's like, and we can still, like, one of the things that I know is once you get that energy of like the fundamental energy of who you are, then everything else falls into place. So if we teach our kids that, if something's not joyful, if something's not light in your world, like if it doesn't light you up, if it doesn't make you feel more like you, then if we started teaching our kids from this place of, if it doesn't make you like just want to be like, oh, I'm so happy. If it doesn't feel like that energetically, if it doesn't match that, is it really something you want to choose? And if we taught our kids about choice from that place, man, it would be easy to teach them about choice.
yeah. So can I ask you a question?
You can ask me whatever you want.
Yay. Okay. So do you think that you have to be a happy person in order to teach your kids to be happy?
Nope, not at all. But you have to be willing. You have to be willing to let them be happier than you're willing to be. And that's what a lot of us do as parents, is we go, well, I'm not happy. So if my kid, and we do this thing, and once again, this is going to bring up some shit for a lot of people, is we compete with our kids. Well,
oh, absolutely. I mean, even in the most beautiful parental relationships, that shit goes on. And
yeah, rather than if
if
we actually started doing competition from a generative place, and we actually went, well, let's see. One of the things we have this game. I don't know if you guys have it in America.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a new American, so I don't know all these crazy things that you guys do. Live there and stuff. But anyway, we won't go into that part. But we have this thing called leapfrog, and it's a game, and it's where when the frog gets in front of you, you leap over it.
Yep.
And then it leaps over you, and you keep bringing each other up to something greater. And it's like, if we empowered our kids like that and actually used from this generative place, which wouldn't be competition, where we actually went, you know what, you're happier than me right now, and I'm not choosing it, for what reason?
But the thing about what you're saying is, in order to do that, you have to take the hierarchy out of parenting. It's not like you have to take those definitions of like, I'm better than you, I'm greater than you, and it's my job to like, impel what I know about the world onto you. And I think that's the most brilliant type of parenting, is like when, you got to lead your kid and, make them like, not drown themselves or something, but it's like, I have to have gratitude for my mom, because she, her thing was always like, you guys aren't like just the little stupid kids. She always talked to me like an adult, and it empowered me so much, to have my voice in the world, and there wasn't a hierarchy, and it showed me that was a possibility in the world. And I think that's part of the reason why parenting has been such a joy for me, is because I wasn't like, well, now I'm the stepmom. I'm like, I'm another kid too. What are we going to do together today?
Oh, that is so you. That is so you. I'm another kid too. What do you want to do? What do you want to play with? And
Yeah.
it's like, and that's that place of like having the joy with it. And it's such a fine line too, because a lot of people look at it and they go, well, but if I have that, then what about all the structure that I need to put in place?
Yeah.
And I mean, I have this this wonderful friend in my life, and she she has an 8-year-old kid, and it's like, and he is just talk about joy. Jesus, this guy is like, he is just joy on legs. And it's like, and I watch her with him when she, it's like she'll wake up and she'll be having a moment, or she'll be like just going into this thing in her head, and then she'll look at him and he'll be this pile of joy, and she'll use that as an inspiration to create something different for herself also. And if we looked at our kids like that, because it's like that is that acknowledgement, when you give a kid that acknowledgement that, oh my God, you just made my life better, you just made me want to be more of me today. It's like if we gave our kids that, we are creating future leaders of magnitude. And that's what I'd like to see.
That's a serious level of.
Okay, so what acknowledgement can you be for you that if you would be it for you would allow your kids to acknowledge them so that they could create themselves as the future leaders of the world, not the future solvers of your problems?
Woo!
Everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it.
Yep.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys, millions. Wow. That's funny too, because that energy is like, wow, do we have kids so that they can solve our problems? So everywhere you decided, and this is, I'm bringing up some shit in this one. I like it. Everywhere you decided that having a child would solve your problems in life, will you please destroy and uncreate it?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys, millions. And please don't look at that as a wrongness. Please, I have no desire to make anyone wrong. I truly don't with this. And
what this conversation like require, like it's just everything that you're inviting people to is, it's going to require a level of vulnerability of like what's not working, and it's okay. I mean, we're all messed up.
It's okay to fuck it up. It's totally okay to fuck it up. Yeah. Trust me, I've done it a lot. Shit. You know, but it's like, I mean, I remember with Nash, when I remember the day that his mum called me and told me she was pregnant. And I remember the moment when she told me, and I went, okay, good. Finally, once we have a kid, she will know that I love her. So trust me, guys, I do not have this right. I never have. I don't want to talk about it from that place. I want to talk about it from, okay, that's what goes on for all of us. Like that shit comes up. But what else is possible? Like truly, if we looked at it right now and went, okay, so where do we want the world to be in 100 years? How do we bring our kids up that way? And that's that thing that I keep wanting to bring it back to the joy. I mean, if we had a planet right now, we have 8 billion people, almost. We have almost 8 billion people. If we had, let's just say 10% of the children on the planet were joyful, would that be a different world? Would that be a world that they would look at and go, okay, I'm joyful because I'm choosing it. I know we have all this stuff going on. We have global warming. We have the politics. We have COVID. We have all this going on right now. But I know because of the way that I was acknowledged for the joy that I am and for the being that I am, that I can create something different, and I can create a different world. Everything that doesn't allow that, and everything that doesn't allow you to acknowledge you, for the kid that you were, that you weren't acknowledged for? Were you destroyed and uncreated?
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys, millions.
Well, that made me kind of want to.
Yeah, so everything, so, okay, so I'm going to do something fucking crazy right now because I'm feeling crazy, which is good because I am crazy. So, you know, whatever. So anyone watching this, and let's just, you and I do it, Julia.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk to the kid that we were, that wasn't acknowledged, for the gift that that kid was, and say, you know what? You are joyful. You are brilliant. You are different. You are amazing. And just because nobody's acknowledging it right now doesn't mean you are not it. Just because nobody sees how different you are doesn't mean you can choose to be as different as you know you are. And everything that is, times a godzillion, can we destroy and create it?
Yep.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys, and millions. Wow.
That had a lot of energy on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like we keep up, we do this thing where it's like, as kids, like, because you really don't get all the problems that people are dealing from. Like, everyone's talking about taxes and marriage and all this bullshit, and you're going, can we eat candy and go to the swings and have fun? We as parents are going, yes, but we have taxes and we have relationships and we have families and we have all these problems, and we're in training our kids to learn about problems rather than in training them to learn about joy. Rather than getting them to tick to the clock of joy, we're getting them to tick to the clock of problems. So everything that is, and everywhere we are just carrying on the flow of what's been done in the past, rather than making a demand that we're going to have a joyful planet and we're going to have kids that are happy on it. Kids that are going out there and looking for, you know, how do we change the way the oceans work? Like, how do we change the way politics work? How do we change the world so that we have it from this place that we want to live in it? If we're not going to start with us, it's not going to happen.
Yep.
Hey, if you're not going to start with your kids, it's not going to happen. We're not going to get that world that we get to live in like that. We're not going to get, so that when they have kids, they're talking to them about what? You don't get to eat fish anymore? We have to start with us. We have to start looking at the fucking future. And if this gets taken down off Facebook because I'm being a fucking demanding shit right now, it can get taken down on Facebook. But guys, we've got to fucking start with us. We have to right now with parenting.
Yeah.
It has to be that way. And that's the thing that pissed me off this morning with that thing. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. He didn't want to look at this. He didn't want to look at, I have a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old daughter outside my window right now. They're acknowledge them for being joyful. If this world was much more simple, how would we create it? How would we choose to be in it? If we could create this world the way we want to create it, how would we teach our kids to create it? I'd teach them how to go down a slippery dip, how to go down a slide and eat ice cream, how to laugh with them, how to educate them on things like that we shouldn't be talking about, things that are actually real. I'd be honest with them. Be vulnerable. one of the things we talked about, and I'm sorry, Julia, I know I'm just.
No, go. I'm enjoying it. I like it.
It's like one of the things we brought up, I think it was with the one that I did with Megan, was we were talking about the 5 elements of intimacy. I really want to bring it back to that with what I'm talking about, because every single thing I'm talking about right now is the 5 elements of intimacy: honor, trust, gratitude, vulnerability, and allowance. If we use these 5 elements to teach our kids how to live, they would have a totally different life. And I'm going to do something on that. I'm going to do something on really making clear what those 5 elements are, so that's the pragmatic tools that I'm going to give on parenting from now on. Is I'm going to teach people how to go from intimacy with parenting. It's like, it's all the elements of being.
Yep. Whew. Well, that blew some shit.
So everything that brought up, and everything that's stirring in your world right now, where you're just trying to create it.
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds.
Yeah. Whew. I can feel everybody's heads going, where am I?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's like the vulnerability, like the level of, and you're talking about the 5 elements of intimacy, which is, a tool and access that isn't about like intimate relationships. It's like about what you have to have with yourself. Like one of them is honoring, and it's like, what is honoring? And it's to treat with regard. And part of treating somebody or something with regard is not expecting them to be different than they are, and not expecting yourself to be different than you are. Like looking at you the way that you are today, warts and all.
Well, that was really well said. Not expecting you to be different than you are either. It's like that's the big, like, and it's like, that's such a, like, I don't know about you, but for me as a kid, it was like, I didn't have anyone around me that didn't judge themselves. Nobody. It's like, so for me, I was looking at, okay, so to get better, like, I need to judge myself. There was no one there that was being that example, that example of allowance, that example of no judgment. And it's like, what if we could be that, not only for our kids, like not only as a parent, but for us and for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, but it has to start with us. It really does. I mean, I remember when I first started Access, right before I started Access, actually, and I was like, wow, you just went dark.
My room just went off. I think I need to move the motion sensor. I'm just going to go back up.
What happened?
You blew the power with the intensity. I like it.
and so right before I started Access, and I was sharing this room at my mum's house, this tiny little bedroom with my 4-year-old kid, and I'd wake up with him in the morning, and he'd wake up and he'd open his eyes and he'd wake me up and he'd look at me and he'd be like, "What are we doing today, Dad?" And that was the unhappiest person you've ever met, literally. And I'd look at him and he'd just be like, "What are we doing today?" Like, and I'd just be like, "Can I just go back to sleep for the rest of the day because I don't want to deal with the world?" And what I started doing was I started judging myself, thinking that was the way that I was going to change it. And I was like, I want this kid to grow up in a world that doesn't have to be about judgment. I want him to grow up in a world where he knows he has choice. I want him to grow up in a world where he knows that he can be him. And I remember thinking it and sitting there and going, what a superior asshole I am. I'm not willing to choose it, and I want to invite this kid to this world. That day changed my life because I realized that it truly does. It truly does start with us. If we want a different world to live in, we have to choose the energy of joy. We have to choose that from today, or else.
Or else Brendon's coming for you.
Exactly. Cut your power out too. I'm kidding. But I'm like, but sometimes we need to hear it this way, because I'm all for, a sweet, soft talk. I'm up for that when it's required. And sometimes it's required to hear the fucking truth.
Yep.
To hear the truth that we need joy on this planet right now. If we want to create a planet that's sustainable, that we actually want to parent beyond COVID, that we want to teach our kids that they don't have to listen to what's going on in the world. They have to choose what's light for them. They have to know about the truth. That's everything that brought up. Times of Godzilla, we destroy and create it. Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
I watched this movie, and I'm sure you've watched it too, Brendon, because a bunch of us have been talking about it. It's called David Attenborough, A Life on Planet Earth.
Yeah.
And it's about the different choices that we could make that would allow this planet to not die. And happiness wasn't one of them exactly, but there were a whole bunch of incredible innovations and things.
Can I just jump in there and tell you why happiness wasn't one of them and why he didn't speak about it like that?
Yeah, say it, please.
Upset a lot of people, but it's like, but he did it from a really courageous place. And if he would have put happiness in there, nobody would have listened to him.
Yeah.
He talked about it from serious courage. Like he talked about the way that Japan has stabilized. The population growth by educating people. And it's like, and when I heard it, I went, whoa, that's going to bring some shit up for people, because it's like, we have this kind of like this, like if you don't have a family, like if you don't do that, then there's something wrong with you. So it brought a lot of that shit up for people. It's like, rather than look at it and go, okay, so if I was to have a family, but I was willing to be educated enough about the way that the planet works, would I create a family that's going to create more sustainability on the planet? And that is another one where people will go, you asshole. Everything that is times a Godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it.
Yeah.
But it's like, even with that, like I'm bringing up the energy right now. I'm fully bringing up the energy of this. So if you can think I'm an asshole. I'm totally cool with that. But if you look at it and went, yeah, he's an asshole, but what's he talking about? Would that be a different question? So everything that is times a Godzillion, we destroy and create it.
Yep.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys, meons. The other thing he talked about was it's like if we used a third of the ocean to create no fishing zones, then we would have enough fish in the ocean to sustain us, even with the population growth, forever. If we taught our kids that from this place of joy, if we actually took them snorkeling and went, what's the ocean feel like to you? What would you like the ocean to be like in the next 100 years? Like if we started asking them questions like that, what would you like the rainforests in the world to be like in the next 100 years? That would open up their awareness to something completely different. Everything that is times a Godzillion, we destroy and create it.
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys, meons. And it's like Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful film. And the way that he did it and the way that he talked about, like, the way that he talks about the past, but also the future is just like, what if we all started talking about that? Like, what if there was nothing wrong with this? We've done what we've done. We've used this planet the way that we've used this planet. If there was nothing wrong with that, if there was nothing wrong with the way that you've parented for the last 20 years, if you've abused your kids, if you've done all the, if you've abused the kids, if you've been mean, if you've yelled, if you've screamed, if you've not educated them about anything, you're forgiven. Okay, you're not wrong for it. It's not about looking backwards to see what's wrong with you as a parent. It's about looking forward at the future. Okay, I don't care how fucked up you think you are. I know you're not. And I can say that from knowing, because I know that the past is irrelevant for creating a different future. Everything that is, times of God's own, when you destroy and create it, please, will you please stop looking backwards to find out what's wrong with you so that you can get your life right and create your future as something brighter than what is wrong with your past. Everything that is, we destroy and create it.
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and popcorn, 9 shorts, boys, millions.
Woo!
Okay.
Serious shit coming up.
Well, I'm really grateful for you because apparently your energy was what I needed to talk about it.
Good.
So thank you. I'm like, because I'm like, and I don't exclude myself from it either. Like I'm not sitting here going, I haven't done any of this. I've been doing it too. I've been contributing to the destruction of this planet. I've been contributing to it through judgment, through no joy. I know that. I know every time I choose less of me, I choose the planet to be less. I get that. I totally get it. But it's like it takes one of us to choose it, but it also takes all of us to be the invitation to all of us that can choose it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, when I see a kid that is supported in their joy, I want to be more of me. I want to be greater. What does that create on our planet if we're all looking at it from that place? I'm like, you know what? Even if I'm not happy, I'm going to support their happiness. Yeah. Even if I'm not happy, I'm going to get over this fucking selfish shit. And if I can't choose it, I'm going to support whoever can. Everything that is times a Godzillion, we destroy and create it.
Yep.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and popcorn, 9 shorts, boys and girls.
You know, Brendon, if like we lived in a world where every single child, no matter how bad their situation was asked like, you know, what do you want the ocean to be like? And what does the ocean feel like to you?
Yeah.
And what is the rainforest? What do you want to have for the rainforest?
What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it sense? Yeah. Sense with it? Yeah.
It's like if every kid was asked that just once, we'd have a different world. But we need to be that question.
Yeah. You know, they did this thing. I saw this thing, I think it was a couple of years ago that I saw it. And it was it was in America, and it was with teenage kids. And they were asking these teenage kids basic questions on geology, on geography, on biology, on politics, on just everything that just would be basic knowledge. And they had no idea.
I saw that too.
And that's not their fault. That's not their fault. And it's like, we'll look at that and go, oh, well, our next generation is uneducated. No. If we looked at it and went, okay, we're uneducating them. We're doing it. Mm-hmm. We're the ones uneducating right now. We're doing it through lies. So everything we're doing to uneducate ourselves so that we can uneducate everybody else by not looking at what's actually true for each and every one of us, we destroy and create it.
Yep.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Okay. Well,
Wow.
I don't have anything else to say.
I'm really glad you went here. And for those of you who are brave enough to listen and be
Yeah,
this energy, it's like it will change your world if you let this in, you know?
yeah.
And it's like it takes a level of vulnerability to let it in, and you wouldn't be here if you didn't have that available to you.
It takes vulnerability, and it takes like you talked about before with the rightness stuff. It's like it takes the willingness to look at it and just go, you know what? I've been trying to get my life right. Okay. You're forgiven. Okay. Each and every one of you are forgiven for everything you've done, everything you've chosen. It's truly, there's nothing wrong with you. Even if you've done the most evil thing in the world that you just think you could never expose it. There's nothing wrong with that. You've done it. You've been there, you've done it. Okay, what would you like to do now? What if that wasn't the definition of who you are anymore? What if it was from this place of, okay, I've been an asshole. What do I want to choose now? Everything that is, I'm knocking you out. Were you destroying and creating?
It's great.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
Wow.
So the other thing I want to say with that, with before we get off here, is the thing I said there about like that stuff that you've decided is so evil and wrong about you. It's not about coming at it from this place of, okay, so let me just ignore it now. Let me run away from it. Well, he said that, I've done it in the past, so let me just forget about that now. It's not about that either, okay? Because that's sticking your head in the sand and not looking at what you've been choosing. It's about recognizing it and embracing it and go, okay, so if I was actually to embrace all of that, then you could actually start seeing what you'd like to choose as a being. And what we do with parenting, with everything, is we go, well, let me avoid everything that I've decided is wrong with me. Let me run at everything I've decided is right with me. So we're running forwards and backwards simultaneously, constantly, all the time, rather than look at it and go, if I was to embrace every single thing I've ever chosen, what would I choose it again? Is that something I'd like to choose? So everything that is times a godzillion, everything that you're doing to avoid everything that you've decided is wrong with you, so that you never actually get to see what's strong about you, where you destroy and create it.
Yep.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
Wow.
Okay.
Whew.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for those of you who are here being present with this and looking at these different things.
Yeah. And I truly am grateful I'm really grateful for you, Julia, with this, because it's like I'll talk to you about that later. But let me just thank you for that. And if one person heard this,
yeah,
actually got the gift to them, then for me it was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Thank you. I adore you. I adore you all. Mwah.
Thanks, Brendon, so much. And thank you guys out there for being a part of this and being willing to have the courage to take that it takes to change the world, because it's like could very easily, just, not want to look at these things and not want to be present with this stuff. And it's like the fact that you're willing to and that you're here is you're already a gift to the world, and you're already being what Brendon is talking about here. So thank you guys who are listening.
And I'm just going to say one other thing to that. If you think you have no courage, you have more than anybody else.
Good point.
Okay? If you think you're fucked up, you are less fucked up than anybody else. Okay? If you think there's something wrong with you, there's something really, really, really strong about you.
Yeah.
Okay? Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything's the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. So I'm grateful for you all, and see you next time with Miss Emily.
Next week, Emily. Yay! Awesome. Thanks, Brendon. Thanks, everybody.